try this again. You know when you like videotape half of your YouTube video and then you realize that the entire time your head has been cut off? Yeah, let's not talk about that. Hey guys, I'm ElizaWood. This is my YouTube channel, and we're gonna talk about the dream dress. Well, not the dream dress. We're gonna talk about Arwen's dream dress. Because if we were gonna talk about my dream dress, this would be a completely different story. Because I want a ball gown with a poof and a corset, and I just said I wasn't gonna talk about this. Anyway, let's get on to Arwen's dream dress. So Arwen's dream dress is the dress that she wears when Aragorn is having a dream or a memory of a dream or just a memory. You know, I never actually figured out what that was supposed to be. Any suggestions? I have no idea. So in that scene, she's wearing this beautiful, flowy, purplish, pinkish, bluish chiffon dress that looks so amazing on her, and I want that dress. I mean, I want all of Arwen's dresses, but that one at least I could make pretty quickly, as long as I can find the fabric, which, let me tell you, that fabric was hard to find. To get that perfect color without having to dye it myself, which I haven't really done that before, so I didn't want to attempt it on my first ever dress, was hard. I went to Joann's, I went to the fabric stores around me, which there are barely any. I am very annoyed about this, but anyway. And there was not a single fabric that was the correct color and material. So I eventually had to go online and look up, I think I went to Google and I looked up periwinkle chiffon fabric. And I went through and I scrolled through a whole bunch of different pictures and I finally found the perfect color. I clicked on it and it took me to the website that was selling it, and it was the perfect material and I was so happy. I finally got some, and I would normally tell you where I bought the fabric from, but they have had an issue recently, at least I think it was them, where my card was stolen twice from buying from that website. And I would tell you where the website was, but unfortunately I can't prove it's them, and I don't want to lose them money other than my own if I'm not absolutely certain that it was them that had the issue. So I got the fabric, and it is this beautiful purple, pinkish, it's blue in some lights, chiffon fabric, and I absolutely love it. It is the perfect color, except it's a little bit see-through, which I was also trying to avoid because I do want to have a little bit of see-through, just because hers is actually see-through, but I don't want to show more than like a shadow of a figure. So what I wound up doing is I got enough of this fabric to do it double layered, which is so much better on the see-through. Oh goodness, I've worn this dress, which has gotten it a bit stained already. I'm gonna need to look into that. Is that better? Okay. So I got enough fabric that I can double layer it and it's not nearly as see-through. Now if the sun hits it just right, you can still see the shadow of a figure, which is what I was aiming for, but just so you all are aware, it will be somewhat see-through if you get similar fabric to mine. Now I'd like to say that the fabric buying was not the hardest part, but honestly it kind of was. Finding the fabric took me forever, but once I had the fabric, it was super easy. But before I run away with the actual process of the making, I did promise I was going to go through research and tell you where I found everything, so I should probably do that real fast. So I started on YouTube, because everything starts on YouTube, and I looked up Arwen dream dress tutorial, and I honestly couldn't find, I think I found one video that was Arwen dream dress, because apparently Arwen's dresses are not very common on YouTube. Most of the time I find like her coats or her makeup and her hair, but not really her costumes. So I found one good tutorial for the dream dress which gave a perfect figure silhouette, and it was done correctly, and it was not in English. And I do not understand anything but English, very sadly. So I could not understand the tutorial. I got very minimal amount of what I needed from it, because there was some that I was just like, oh, okay, that's how you do that. But most of the time I was just like, I don't understand what you're telling me right now, so it's not very helpful. So then I went on to Instagram and Google, and I was just trying to look up pictures of this dress so that I could figure out how other people made it. Maybe I could make it similar to how other people made it. And other people have made some stunning variations of the dress. Absolutely beautiful, and I love them all, but they weren't quite right to me. There was always something that was different from the original, which isn't a bad thing. But I wanted to be as close to the original as possible, and looking at these other people's dresses, I was just like, that's not quite right for what I want. So eventually I stumbled upon costumersguide.com, which I think I mentioned in my first video, but it is currently my favorite research engine for, at least for Lord of the Rings. There have been some other dresses that I've been looking up that haven't quite been portrayed very well on Costumers Guide, but Arwen's dresses, she has them all. So I went and I found the dream dress, and there were so many useful pictures. There was some from during the movie, there was some from behind the scenes, which that one actually threw me for a loop, the behind the scenes ones, because they actually looked blue in the behind the scenes. And so I was trying to get the correct fabric to look right in the behind the scenes, and then it wouldn't look right for the movie, and then if I got it for the movie, it wouldn't look right for the behind the scenes. Woo! But anyway. So I scrolled down, and a lot of times the Costumer's Guide has a list of the materials that she saw was used in it, how she thinks it was done, and all this stuff. And I think it was at the bottom of the website, but it might have been somewhere in the middle. They had a link to another website, which I will also link in my description along with the Costumer's Guide and the YouTube video. And it actually gave a picture guide on how to make the dream dress with just draping, which was exactly what I was looking for. It was perfect. So in a moment I'm going to show you how I draped the dress, and I'll have to apologize for the angle. I don't think I got a good angle. I didn't really have a good setup at the time to really do a good video of the dream dress. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put up the pictures that go along with what I'm doing to maybe give you a better idea of what I'm actually doing as I do it. I'm also going to be talking you through it, but unfortunately, I only really got the one video, and I wound up changing a lot of the stuff that I did because I didn't quite like the way I had done it. But we'll get to that. For now, let's go to the actual video. Okay, so we're going to start off with my mannequin. Unfortunately, my mannequin doesn't have the same proportions as I do, so I have to stuff a bra for her, which is why you currently see her in a shirt and skirt rather than just the mannequin. And that also has the added effect that I can pin everything onto the shirt. So first of all, I folded the fabric in half, and I went ahead and I put the fold at the collar because I thought it would look prettier to do it that way. I didn't want to have some raw edges at the top of the dress. So the raw edges are at the bottom of the dress. And then I found the middle between the middle of my fabric on the fold, and I went ahead and I pinned it to the middle of my shirt. Then I just kind of played around with the draping, and I know that my arm is in the way. I'm so sorry. The angle was horrible. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to decide where exactly I want the shoulder to rest so that it has the kind of draping that she has at her collar. Now right now it's not going to have that draping because I have pinned it in the middle, which it won't have later, but I'm just trying to get a good distance between the two so that there will be a nice drape in the end. And then I took out the pin and I just kind of draped it just to see if I liked the way the collar sat. It is a little low, so I thought, ooh, I should probably move it up a bit. So I went ahead and I repinned the shoulder so it sat more correctly. Much better. Okay, so I know that I said it's not as see-through because of the way the fabric is, and that is true as long as you're only wearing nude clothing underneath it. I know every now and again you're going to be able to see the pattern of my shirt underneath the dress, but that is because it is black. I have worn the dress out in nude fabric and I was fine. So now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of running my hand along the waistline and putting another pin in the fabric to put it so that it is relatively close to the waistline. I don't want to go too close to the waistline because again I am a little bit big busted, so if I go too close there will be really bad wrinkles underneath the bust area, which Arwen does not have. So, and now for some reason my camera decided to be out of focus. Cool, that's great. Now you see me playing a little bit with the collar because it's not quite as drapey as I wanted it to be, but as soon as I get in that side piece, I think it should be fine. I'm just kind of moving the collar up so that I can get the sides in the correct position. Blackness. Yeah, sorry. Really horrible angle apparently. Especially since I keep stepping in front of the camera. Anyway. So here it is again. I'm just kind of playing with the collar and making sure it sits right. There is a bit of wrinkling down by the hips and the waist. But as I sew in the side seam, that should go away. Yeah, I really wasn't happy with that collar. It was not sitting the way I wanted it to sit. And since we're talking about the collar anyway, I might as well point out there is one thing that I have failed to do in my version of Arwen's dream dress that is present in her actual dress, and that is that her collar has a bit of like sparkly embroidery. I think it's leaves and flowers and things. But I honestly didn't want to mess up my dress by adding that because I thought I'm not going to be able to do it that well. And the sparkles is barely visible in the movie anyway. Oh my goodness, how long am I going to be working on this collar? Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and shorten this and say I played around with the collar until I liked it, and had to repin the sides several times. So now that I've got the bust where I wanted and the collar where I wanted, I'm going to go ahead and start pinning down the sides. I'm following the mannequin, but I'm also giving a little bit of ease, once again, because I don't want to have any of that wrinkling from it being overly stretched. Which, by the way, this is actually going to bite me in the butt, because it turns out that my mannequin is like a size smaller than me. So all of this work that I'm doing right now, I'm actually going to have to take out and add I'm really bad at measurements, so I'm not even going to guess. I actually had to take out and add a little bit of space to the side seams. So, in the future, make sure that your mannequin is the correct size for you. So now I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do the same thing on the back. So once again, I folded the fabric in half. I found the center point and I put it against the mannequin. This time I did it a bit differently. I actually ran out of pins and didn't want to go downstairs and grab my pin box, so I went ahead and I found the center point and held on to it as I draped it over my mannequin. Now you'll see that I am doing it a little bit high, which I had done that because I think I was expecting it to have a little bit of a drape in the back, but it turns out I did it too tightly for that, so that extra space at the top didn't quite work as I had hoped. So here you see I'm doing a little bit of an ease, and yes, I keep my pins in my mouth. Not the best idea, but if I put too much ease into the back of the dress, the ease in the front makes it so it just kind of wants to slide off the shoulders. Now, I didn't actually try it on like that, which I'm regretting now. I feel like I should have tried it on like that because the natural shape of the shoulders might have just stopped that from happening and it might have sat better than what it does now. But I'm not too upset about it. So you'll often see me looking down because I did not bother to cut my fabric before. Other than cutting it in half, I didn't actually bother to cut my fabric before putting it on the dress because I wasn't sure how long I wanted it to be, so I decided to wait to actually cut it and hem it until it was on and I could decide based on me wearing it. But that does mean that I step on it quite frequently as I am working. So you'll also notice that I'm leaving a lot of fabric over the shoulders. So this is what's going to be the sleeve of her dress. She doesn't actually have a sleeve as far as I can tell. What she has is just kind of the leftovers of the fabric that she just let hang. And there you have it. I have my dress all pinned on my mannequin. Now it still isn't quite as flowy as the original dress, and I honestly have no idea how to make it as flowy as the original dress, but I really like the end product. When I finally had it all pinned onto her, I realized, how the heck am I supposed to get this thing off and still have the pattern pieces together as I want them to? So I gave up and just hand sewed it onto the mannequin. Now I did not go much past the hips for two reasons. One, I wanted to see if it would fit me before I went too far down, and the other reason is I didn't want and the other reason is that her dress, I could see her leg peeking out of her dress in the behind the scenes. So I don't think her dress went much past like mid-thigh. So I wanted mine to go ahead and stop at the mid-thigh as well. Now you'll see me holding the sleeve and pulling it to the side as I am hand sewing. That was apparently a very bad idea. After hand sewing the entire dress and after hand sewing the entire dress, I realized that she has a bit of a cape kind of thing in the back of her dress, which I should have done with the second layer of the back of my dress. So I wound up actually unsewing everything but the shoulders and resewing them, just so I could take out the top layer of the back of the dress, so that it would flow behind me. And let me tell you, I am so glad that I did. It looks so much better. And there was one other thing that I did that I did not film because apparently my camera was not in the correct position, and that is I sewed a zipper into the side seam on the left side, because I don't know my right from my left. I went ahead and I sewed it down, I think about to my hip, which allowed me to be able to get in and out of the dress. Unfortunately, I was not happy with the look of the zipper. In general, I'm not bothering to take it out simply because the zipper isn't very visible when I'm wearing it and have my arm in the way. But if I were just to show it on a mannequin or show it to a person, the zipper is very visible and I hate it so much. So eventually I might take that zipper out and do something else with the closure. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. Now, what I did videotape was not everything that I did. I think I actually took it out and redid it 3 or 4 times before I was happy with it. It never was quite sitting correctly. I didn't do the draping correctly, and my mannequin wasn't the correct shape for me. So every time I put it on, it would stretch in weird ways that the mannequin didn't. And then I had to put it on again to figure out how long to make it. And then I had to do the taking out and putting it back in for the cape, which I was so mad about because I finally had it perfect. And then I realized I had accidentally sewed the back in and I was so mad. Anyway, when I finally had all of the side seams done, the shoulder was how I wanted it, everything was how I wanted it, I put it on and I actually got my cousin to sit on the ground and mark out where to cut the fabric so that it would be the perfect length. I do have it a bit long. It's kind of, it's short enough that when I walk I won't step on it, but it is long enough that it drapes around my feet. So, I will have probably a bit of a problem walking in it at the convention when I finally wear it to a convention. Hopefully that'll be this summer, but you never know with what's going on right now. But that's what you have cousins for, who stand around you and make sure nobody steps on you, and fails at that. Oh my goodness, last time I went to a convention I was wearing my battle dress, which is so long. The sleeves are forever long. I don't know what I was thinking making it so long. And people keep stepping on the sleeves and I don't blame them at all. But oh my gosh, my shoulders hurt afterwards all the time because I keep getting yanked back by the shoulders. Whew, gonna try not to do that in the future. So I actually I had her mark out the bottom of the dress, and I had her mark it exactly where I wanted the bottom of the dress to be. And then I think I added in an inch to the fabric so that I could make a 1/2 inch hem. And I made a 1/2 inch hem, and it looked so bad. Oh my goodness. It was bubbly, and it didn't sit right, and I had also hemmed the fabric together, so the 2 layers I had hemmed together, and it did not like that. It did not sit right. I absolutely hated it. So what I wound up doing is I wound up looking up how to hand sew a hem for a chiffon fabric. And I found another video, and I'm going to go ahead and put the link to that video in the description so that you can figure out how to hem chiffon fabric so you don't do the same mistake that I did. So I wound up taking out that whole hem and putting in a whole new hem it was just a turned over hem, so I actually don't know how big it is, but it's very small. But I really just like turned it 2 times and then sewed it like that. And then it was done. I'm still kind of missing the embroidery that I was telling you about earlier, but I don't want to attempt it. I just don't. I don't want to ruin my dress. So now the dress is all done, and of course I had to go do a photo shoot of it. So I dragged my cousin into the woods and she took some pictures and she also took some videos. So here's a little montage, I suppose. Of course, I made the horrible mistake of going right after, I think I went in January to do this photo shoot. I was freezing. Luckily, I had brought a trench coat that I kept in the car. So whenever we were walking around trying to find the perfect spot, I was wearing the trench coat and combat boots. I must have looked like such a weirdo. So there you have it. There's my dream dress all put together and ready for the convention. I can't wait to wear it out. But anyway, that's all I have to say on the dream dress. If you're interested in following along on my journey and starting cosplay, please subscribe. And if you have any questions or corrections for me, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Toodles!